Hi guys, in this video I'm going to answer the following questions seen on the screen, where these questions pertain to atomic structure. In question 1, part A, it asks which shell represents the lowest energy level in an atom. We say that an atom contains energy levels or energy shells, and the lowest energy level is the shell found closest to the nucleus. Right, so this is the shell closest to the nucleus. In part B, we are asked how many electrons can each of the two lowest energy levels hold. Now, in the first shell, which is the shell closest to the nucleus, this shell can hold a maximum of 2 electrons. In the second shell, right, which is the shell next to the first one, obviously, right? In the second shell, we say that the second shell can hold a maximum of up to 8 electrons. Right, so in an atom, electrons are arranged in electron shells, and an electron shell can hold a maximum number of electrons depending on where the energy level is, that is, closest to the nucleus or further away. This will determine how many electrons an electron shell will hold. In question 2, we are asked to draw the arrangement of the electrons found in the following atoms. So in part A, where we have helium, helium has an atomic number of 2, and therefore its electronic configuration is as is, right? 2 with 2 brackets around it. I'm going to use a dot to represent the nucleus, and I'm going to draw 1 electron shell, and this is because the first shell holds a maximum of 2 electrons, and this would be our diagram showing the arrangement of electrons in helium. In beryllium, which has an atomic number of 3, the electron arrangement for beryllium is such that of its 3 electrons, 2 will fill into the first shell and 1 into the second shell. My electronic configuration shows that beryllium, the diagram of its electron arrangement, should show 2 shells. I will fill in 2 electrons into the first shell and 1 into the second. In part C, where we have chlorine, chlorine has an atomic number of 17. That means its electronic configuration is such that 2 electrons will fill into the first shell. That leaves us with 15 more to fill in. 8 will fill into the second shell. So we have 10 electrons filled into the 2 shells. The remaining 7 will go into the third shell. Right, so the third shell will fill up to 8 electrons, and any remaining electrons will go into the fourth shell. So chlorine has 3 shells, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to join my electrons into my diagram. So we have 2 electrons filling into the first shell, 8 into the second shell, and we fill them in as such: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we always join our electrons singly before we pair them up. So with the 7 electrons, I'm going to fill them into the third shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I tried my best to fill in my electrons in a clockwise direction. Next up, we have argon with an atomic number of 18. 2 electrons will fill into the first shell, 8 into the second, and 8 into the third shell. Right, so the first shell takes a maximum of 2, the second shell 8, and the remaining electrons, or 8 electrons, fill into the third shell, and any others will fill into the fourth shell. So argon has 3 shells, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to fill in electrons just like we did with chlorine. 2 into the first shell, 8 into the second shell, but we fill them in singly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 in the second shell, and 8 goes into the outermost shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can use a cross to represent an electron, or you can use a dot to represent an electron. Both are acceptable. In question 3, part A, we are asked to write the electronic configuration of potassium with an atomic number of 19. So from potassium, 2 electrons go into the first shell. Can we fit 8 into the second shell? So that's 10, right? Yes, we can. Can we fit 8 into the third shell? Yes, we can. This comes up to 18 electrons. And the last electron is going to fill into the fourth shell. And this is our electronic arrangement of potassium. In part B, we are asked, how many electrons does potassium have in its highest energy level? Remember, the lowest energy levels are closest to the nucleus. The higher energy levels are further away from the nucleus. So in our outermost shell for potassium, which is the fourth shell, there is 1 electron. In question 4, we are asked to give the name and the symbol of the atom shown. So what we're going to do is we're going to count electrons, and you're going to disregard what you see in the diagram here where the electrons are not paired up. All right, we're just going to count electrons. I see 2 in the first shell, 8 in the second shell, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the outermost shell. So this is the electronic arrangement. If we add the number of electrons, it comes up to 15. So the symbol of the element would be P, and this refers to phosphorus with an atomic number 15, where the atomic number 15 is also the number of electrons found in the atom.